Welcome back, viewers, to the latest researches and news. Currently, we have two updates that we will share with you in this video. Viewers, according to the latest updates from Amhara Fano, over 50 Ethiopian National Defense Force soldiers were killed and 5 captured as Fano repelled an offensive in Zekowala Woreda, Wag Hemra Zone, Amhara region. Wag Hemra Zone sits in the northeastern part of Amhara region. Close to the Tigray border, this is the same border zone that includes Sekota, the town we told you about earlier as one of the routes through which Tigrayan fighters had been returning home. This location places today's battle in a genuinely important corridor, close to the same border area that's been central to much of our recent coverage. According to the reports, in recent fighting, units under the 38th and 39th Ethiopian National Defense Force divisions advanced from Laukio, Asketema, Dona, and Azila, leading to an engagement with Fano units under the 14th Division, the same division we've already told you about in connection with the Debre Zeit battle in East Gojam. 2 full Ethiopian National Defense Force divisions advancing from 4 separate starting points suggests this was a coordinated, multi-directional offensive rather than a single unit's isolated push. Seeing Fano's 14th Division involved again after its earlier role in Debre Zeit also suggests this is an experienced, active unit being deployed across more than one front. During the fighting, Ethiopian National Defense Force troops reportedly carried out indiscriminate artillery shelling, damaging farmers' property while also engaging in the looting of civilian property. Indiscriminate shelling specifically implies artillery fire that wasn't precisely targeted at combatants or military positions, which raises the same kind of civilian harm concerns we've flagged in other engagements throughout this conflict. As always, this is a claim reported from Fano's side, and independent verification would be needed to confirm the extent and nature of any civilian property damage. The engagement left more than 50 Ethiopian National Defense Force personnel killed and 5 captured. A reported toll of over 50 killed in a single engagement would represent one of the higher casualty figures we've covered across our recent reporting, consistent with a scale suggested by 2 full divisions being involved in the advance. Fano forces also reportedly seized a sizable quantity of firearms, ammunition, and other military supplies during the operation. Apart from this, according to the latest reports from ground sources, the Oromia Geda Commando has intensified what's being described as an ongoing campaign of violence against Amhara communities. Alongside this, Cheru youth groups are reportedly burning down Amhara homes, described as active participants in these attacks alongside regional forces. We've received a number of videos reportedly showing individuals being killed and homes being burned, some of which we'll share with you. These are extremely serious allegations describing what would amount to grave human rights violations against a specific community. We want to be upfront. Claims of this severity require independent verification from credible human rights organizations or international observers before they can be treated as fully confirmed. We're presenting what's being reported by ground sources and will continue to look for independent confirmation as the story develops. In the past few days, Fandaka Kebele and Shashoba Kebele have reportedly been burned, leaving over 60 civilians dead, including vulnerable individuals. Dozens more people have reportedly been killed in Angagutin town, the same town we told you about in our earlier coverage of Fano's offensive in this area, where retreating government forces had reportedly withdrawn. Among those reportedly killed is Abahoy Tades, the administrator of the Holy Trinity Church in Andode Dicho. The reported targeting of a named religious figure, along with two named Kebeles suffering both mass casualties and destruction of homes, gives this report a level of specificity that goes beyond a vague general claim. That said, specificity alone doesn't equal confirmation. Independent verification of names, locations, and casualty figures would still be needed before treating these details as fully established fact. According to these reports, the number of people killed continues to rise, and it's worth noting that the figures being reported likely only reflect cases that have actually been documented and reported so far. In situations like this, the true scale is often difficult to establish in real time, and unreported cases may exist beyond what's currently known. This is an important caution we apply to reporting from any active conflict zone official or ground source. Casualty figures during ongoing violence are frequently incomplete, simply because access, communication, and safety conditions make full documentation extremely difficult while events are still unfolding. Furthermore, heavy weaponry has reportedly been directed toward areas where displaced individuals from Kiramu district and surrounding areas are sheltering, specifically in the Abajo locality. Targeting a location known to be sheltering displaced people would represent an extremely serious escalation, striking people who have already fled their homes once rather than combatants, would be a clear violation of the basic protections civilians are supposed to have under international humanitarian law, regardless of which side is responsible. Across Oromia and particularly throughout East Ruliga Zone, civilians continue to face serious insecurity. Rights groups have documented killings, abductions, displacement, and the destruction of homes and property, including attacks specifically targeting Amhara communities, with some incidents reportedly live-streamed without any apparent consequence for those responsible. The involvement of rights groups in documenting these incidents matters because it moves this beyond a single source's account toward independent human rights monitoring, though we'd still encourage viewers to look directly at any formal reports these organizations publish for the most rigorously verified details, rather than relying solely on second-hand summaries, including our own. It's being reported that it isn't only the Gede Commando involved in this violence. The Ethiopian National Defense Force is also alleged to be participating. Survivors have spoken about this directly. We've also received a video reportedly showing Ethiopian National Defense Force soldiers alongside Gede Commando personnel. Let's watch that video first and then we'll continue. If Ethiopian National Defense Force involvement is confirmed alongside regional Gede Commando forces, that would represent federal, not just regional, responsibility for these alleged actions, a significant distinction, since it would implicate the national government's own armed forces directly, rather than only a regional security structure. According to these reports, government forces have carried out house-to-house attacks against civilians who were unable to flee, including pregnant women, mothers, elderly residents, and other vulnerable individuals, targeting people specifically because they were physically unable to escape, described here as pregnant women, elderly residents. And mothers describes attacks against those least able to defend themselves or relocate, which is precisely the kind of allegation that, if verified, would warrant serious international attention and formal investigation. So to summarize, Fano reports repelling a coordinated two-division Ethiopian National Defense Force offensive in Zekwala Woreda, inflicting over 50 casualties, capturing 5 soldiers, and seizing a significant quantity of weapons alongside serious allegations of indiscriminate shelling and looting of civilian property during the fighting. As always, we're presenting this as reported by Fano, pending any independent confirmation. We'll keep tracking this front closely. Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next update.